Hi, my name's Sarah Fenner, in case we've not met before, and as you can see from the badges around me, I like collecting badges, but especially the MCT one at the bottom left there. At least it's left when I'm looking at it. I always get confused with which way round things are when you're doing different virtual presentations. Anyway, the point of this video is to take you through how I'm delivering the virtual training and the setup I've got going on here. Now let's just switch to what my trainers, my delegates, my trainees would normally see. Please excuse the Camtasia recording. Let's just move that out of the way. So normally my delegates are going to see my shared content, in this case a presentation, and to give you a flavour of how I'm delivering the training, I'm going to do a brief overview of the differences between teams, groups and sites for you. Okay, so my delegates have got here the introductory screen and a little picture of me in the bottom corner there, just so that when I'm talking with my hands, as I quite often do, and using my facial expressions to convey extra meaning, it sits there alongside the actual content itself. So that's really helpful. But let's show you what I'm actually seeing as well. So this is my main screen. I don't expect you to be able to read anything on it because the resolution is quite large. Okay, so I've got my Teams meeting going on where I'm going to present to my delegates. I've got my PowerPoint presenter view going on, and I've got my OBS studio window up where I can see what my delegates are seeing while still looking at you and not having to look over at the far side to see what's going on. Okay, obviously at the moment I've got my Camtasia window here sat at the bottom recording. So actually let's have a look at the layout as me sat in my office. So I've got a second webcam over here to my right for demonstrating what I'm actually doing. So here's my big screen in front of me where I keep my main content, especially when I've got my camera on as well, because my camera sits above the monitor here. And I want to talk to my delegates and try and look at them, so I'm looking at the camera. Now slightly out of picture, you can't see, but up above there is a light, which is one of the key lights giving me a little bit of floodlit, and I've got my curtains most of the way across the windows around me to try and prevent some glare. Okay, I've then got my main laptop here, which is where I put the main content I want to share. And that's because I can set this to the right resolution, whereas my big monitor over here is just too large a monitor to have a nice resolution for people watching the presentation. And I've then got a third monitor over here on the right. Now I've actually got one of these mobile monitors, quite simply because I'm hoping at some point I'll go back to face-to-face training and then it will be useful there as well. So this monitor is where I'm outputting my content from OBS Studio from my main screen here, and that's what I actually share to my delegates. So that's where I bring all the different streams together of the information that I'm sharing. In terms of other things, obviously I've got a mic on a boom here. I don't like wearing a headset all day long. So this is the best I can do. The trick is obviously to try and get as close to it as possible for the really clear sound without the background noises if possible. I've got my mobile presenter tool, my Logitech Spotlight in this case, for advancing my presentation, and also I can use it to zoom in on different parts of the screen. You can probably just about see it enlarging the word Teams on the little screen here, but don't worry, you'll see it in a bit. Okay, I've then got my phone sat running my Stream Deck for switching between the different visual inputs on the screen as I go. Okay, so that's my layout. Let's just bring all of that together for you so that you can actually see all of it together. Hello again. So in the bottom corner there you've got the delegate view. That's that main presentation screen and my little picture in the corner. Up above that you've got my second webcam showing you what's going on, what I'm doing as I'm presenting, but I'm also sharing with you my main screen that I'm using as I'm going. Okay, I'm just going to move my OBS studio just down a little bit so it's available to me to do a quick check while I'm talking to you, but not covering up my content. Now I've got a dummy Teams meeting running here, just so you can see how I'm now going to share in my presentation content into that meeting. So if you look at the main screen, you'll see that I'm going down to the share icon down at the bottom. Let's use the spotlight to make it a little bit bigger for you. If I can make it do it. The problem is it's used to you being much further away, so I'll have to move back. There we go. And if I go on my share tray down at the bottom here, trying to move my mouse but not the spotlight. I have to do it in one go. There we go. My share tray down at the bottom here, and I can share a screen. So I'm going to share the third screen just in case I do decide to pull something different up onto there other than just the projector view. I'm going to share that whole screen. Now when you do this, your Teams window goes down to this tiny little button in the corner, and you really can't monitor the meeting chat or anything else at the same time. So I just click back onto that window so I can pull up the chat as well as I'm doing that, and then click back into my presentation so that I can use my clicker to click through the presentation and explain to you the difference, or the relationship if you prefer, between teams, sites and groups. So if you're familiar with SharePoint, you know that a SharePoint site is made up of these different apps, these different containers for information. We have the default documents app, document library, but we can put all sorts of other content, other apps in to expand out what we're doing and to store different information, really customize and enrich the experience. Okay. We also have these tools called Microsoft 365 Groups. Yes, they used to be called Office 365 Groups. They're gradually renaming. And this gives us more than just a SharePoint site, but it includes a SharePoint site. So the Microsoft 365 Group is the unification of all things 365. SharePoint, Exchange, Active Directory, Azure Active Directory to be more precise. So it's a way of managing access to a shared communication space, the shared content space, the SharePoint site, but also the groups of people who need to access that information and manage that information on behalf of the other users, the members and the owners of our groups. So a group doesn't just give us a SharePoint site, it gives us what I like to call a modern shared mailbox, more of a shared mail folder than an entire mailbox. But it also gives us other 365 tools such as Planner and Stream as well. If you use Yammer, that integrates with the 365 groups as well, and there are other tools that do, but those are the core ones that are provisioned, if you like, automatically. We've also got a notebook on here. Yeah, okay, I know you can put a notebook anywhere else, but if you go to the group in Outlook, you know, scroll right down to the bottom, you see groups down at the bottom of Outlook. You go to the group there is a link to the mailbox, the calendar, Planner, Stream, the site for your files, and also the OneNote notebook. So it's really useful to highlight here for you that that's included, if you like, in the 365 group, and it is automatically available to all members of the group, just like the rest of the content. Last but not least, we have Teams. Now I like to think of Teams as really the interface that pulls all of this together, not just a hub for the teamwork, but really a tool that allows us to access more information. So yes, I can take my group and convert it into a team, or go straight to a team and still get all of the features of the group and the SharePoint site. Don't forget, SharePoint site is part of a group, a team is a special group, so we get all of those same features, but the richness of the Microsoft Teams tool and all of the extensibility with the different tabs inside the teams themselves. So there you go, there's a taster of sharing the different information with people virtually, using Microsoft Teams, still being able to see what's going on. And I'm deploying OBS Studio and 3 different screens. That's the big tool, that's the big selling, the big difference, if you like, as to how I'm getting that set up. Yes, I've got peripherals, I've got the mic going and the light to make it look a little bit better, and yes, I can run Stream Deck on my phone when it doesn't decide to shut down, and yes, I've got the spotlight, but I could be doing it with my mouse. So the big thing is the number of screens to make it possible. Hope that helps.